Did you saw the study recently where, like with the brain scans, right? Where if you use ChatGPT for cognitive tasks, it basically your brain turns off.
All the students are already using AI, and we are cheating, and the teachers are angry. So mostly ChatGPT provides answer based on Bing. So of course you want to optimize, like a tip for tip for audience. If you want to optimize for ChatGPT, make sure that you're optimized for Bing. Go to Bing Webmaster Tools, apply your website. Bing keywords is a bit different. It works pretty much a bit different from Google, so we are really like exact match keywords. So if you want to like rank well on Bing, you should like put exact match keywords on your site, to rank on Bing, and later on you will rank on ChatGPT.
So today with me I have Rokas Stankevic, who is the Lithuanian AI entrepreneur, educator, and co-founder of Why AI, which is the Lithuanians' first AI consultancy and maybe one of the most influential ones. Recently also launched the AI Clicks, a special tool for AI search optimization, which we definitely want to talk about today. Also, he has personally been in over 200 training sessions, 20,000 professionals went through his courses, 120 companies, lots of great experience, and he has this method of 99% practice, 1% theory. So today we want to go through his methods, tools, understanding the way how we could apply all of this nowadays. So welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, and nice to meet you all.
Yeah, excellent, Rokas. So before the podcast, we already started a little bit talking about your academic background, which actually, for my surprise, was that you started to educate yourself in terms of AI development, software, and everything just after the academia. But you are well known, actually, in Lithuania regarding the educational side of AI. I read that over these 20,000 professionals went to these courses, and when I tried to do a deep research in Gemini for you, it pulled up 200 pages and twice it said error, so it was too much content. I'm not sure, maybe it's because of your great tool that we will discuss, or actually you generated so much content. On the content side also you have YouTube channel, right?
Yes, for sure.
What is in your YouTube channel?
It's called, like my name is Rokas Stankevic, it's called Rokas Stan, and it's all about AI automations using a tool, primarily a tool called NA10. It's one of the most popular tools right now where no coders or like low coders could have like one of the best AI automation services out there, totally, almost sometimes even for free, using local hosting, and combining various tools, APIs, AI into their own workflows, build AI automation for themselves, and it really helps to people for like really see the promise of AI when we like already talking about for 2-3 years that AI will change the workplace, but in practice, from my experience, still a lot, like very small percentage of people are actually using AI, and such tools like NA10 who can help you build really advanced and custom automations to level up your like.
Do you have like some cool examples, like practical, valuable examples, which you could? I saw there were these small tutorials, but basically, what kind of examples brings the light bulb on for people looking at these agent builders?
Yeah, so for example, you run an e-commerce store and you have like, you run ads, or you have like a custom form in your website. Maybe you yourself also have like a form where you can contact people. So for example, you could ping this to 1 or 2 AI calls, to your email, to your CRM, and fill all the data, send a personalized message for that particular customer who just inserted their email or needs, for in the topic that you are in, and you could do that on weekends after work hours, and really like raise your sales percentage of closed deals, for example. So that's one of the many examples, that I could share.
So you're saying there is this, if you respond quickly to inbound, right? It makes a difference, yeah.
Yeah, it's not from my head. You could do study a lot of research that say like if you are able to do like that in 5 minutes, you raise your chances of closing the deal like way more, because, not for a reason we are all talking about attention span is very low, and if you just if you are interested into a topic like right now and you get your answer like 5 days before, you just forget about what problem you are talking about. If you maybe already found like 3 different alternatives and you just totally called, for that particular business.
I hear you. So before we go deeper into some of your ventures, I'm just wondering, you had also experience on like bringing this awareness of AI tools to the academia and educational system in Lithuania as well, or not really?
Yes, for sure. So as you mentioned, we ran, and it's like all the applauses should also not go only for me, but my co-founder and initial founder of a company, Antanas Bernatonis. So he like started this company. I just joined after a couple of months, and we together did all these trainings and together educated a huge percentage of Lithuanian companies. So yeah, in between like these 2 years that we did that, we trained like top universities from Lithuania, public institutions, top companies, startups. You could say it all done boring businesses as well, all sorts of
the
businesses.
Boring businesses make money.
Yeah, that's for sure. So that's why we we clientele with them. Yeah, so all sorts of businesses in that side. We are also like university schools where we work with teachers. I also
what
visit.
is the experience with schools like? Where I guess that they liked that AI can help them to, I don't know, like mark the homework assessments or whatever.
Yeah, so like one of the interesting experiences. So my personally, like one of the first trainings that I did was like in my hometown. So I teach my teachers. You could say it's also like a funny thing to do. And yeah, regarding the content itself, it was also very interesting because all the teachers, you understand, like even in 2023, in 2024, years before that, all the students are already using AI, and we are cheating, and the teachers are angry, how is like small people can outthink us, so we already like was behind it.
Did you saw the study recently where like with the brain scans, right, where if you use ChatGPT for cognitive tasks, it basically your brain turns off. Basically, there's less activity in the brain.
Yeah, I heard some of these like data. Yeah, so that's also an interesting one, and for sure happening all over academia, schools. That like people are not living anymore without ChatGPT. We don't go from home, before asking like what you do, what you eat, or whatever.
What was your experience? What was at the end some method that you came up for them? Like, should they just generate all of their reports with the ChatGPT, or is there some kind of way how to educate these youngsters?
Yeah, to be frank, maybe most of the talks, I'm not old enough to say so for sure, but like when internet came, when computers came, I think the talks, the narrative behind it was pretty much similar, I assume, because all the people, when like Wikipedia came, all the teachers might have said that, oh, people won't read any books, they won't go to school, we will be very stupid, and so on and so forth. So I think some of it also happening with like AI. Of course, it's not completely the same situation, I'm for sure, but some of it really overlaps. What's the exact method? I would say that still, even though ChatGPT, Perplexity is so advanced right now, and you cannot even compare like 2 years and exactly, now, but I think still, if you are really giving a really complex task where you need creativity, where you evaluate just not just, but creativity in general, and not just facts or like short answer sentences, that still is the case in most schools in Lithuania, maybe in other countries as well. We just need to really train for facts, not for the reasoning. You don't provide reasoning in these answers, and still, as we talked before, AI might go, it doesn't go into deep very much, and still, from my experience, pupils, all like teachers, are still using ChatGPT pretty in a pretty like beginner way, you could say, and you could like totally see when people are using ChatGPT, and you could also like
free versions.
Yeah, free versions, simple
honest
prompts.
models.
Yeah, and generate me homework, add screenshot, gets the results, copy paste it, and
The
boom,
teacher
show.
sees some strange word in the sentence.
Yeah. Last week you didn't do anything, now you're top 10. Maybe something happened, so yeah.
Yeah, that's but talking of these educational institutions, like if your method is 99 practice, 1% theory, so what do you see in academia and educational system? What is the ratio there? What do you think?
Well, I think it's like pretty low, like academia right now.
1% practice, 99% theory.
Well, of course, it depends on the field, but I would say like it's somewhere similar, yeah, for sure. Because like academia in general, especially in the United States, get a lot of accusations. You could say that it's like not preparing like individuals or professionals for like work in daily life. Because at least from my experience and my friends, and all my circle, you could say that. You could say that your like professional path and your academical path goes like in two opposite ways, and you understand that it's like interesting to learn new stuff, it's interesting to educate yourself, but you understand that even when you start studying that your career path would be totally different. It will need learn all of that stuff, or learn new things, And
you yourself is an example of that because you studied something completely different, right? Political.
Yeah, I started with political science. I didn't know at all anything about like coding or technical stuff aside, and I was more interested in history, and one of so I started like I was like 17 or 18 years old. You need to choose your career path. You don't know anything about the world, especially me in that age. So I just picked one of that that sounded more nice. That I saw some people that I liked. That they finished that school. So I also joined, and under like learning all the stuff, I once again I could say like change my path, and I go more into like soft science, like human, I don't know, soft sciences like philosophy, philology, So I moved from political science to more like another field, And I was like learning ancient Greece and reading philosophy, And it's also not in most cases connected to that political science that I learned, And after that, when I was learning that stuff, I also was working in marketing agency or PR agency, where I was just writing, articles, doing research, and communicating with clients. Yeah, so I was doing even then like totally different things. And when just ChatGPT came in early 2023 and late 2022, I just saw that wow, we still can write really good articles way faster than I do. Could do a lot of research, and still wasn't very. You could say like everyone could agree that it still was very scrappy, but like the potential of this tool, seeing like technological advancement was very clear. So that's why I like at first I just started to do work with ChatGPT. I saw the potential. I understand that it's like way better path for myself, for my career, for like to you could say change it, and go to technological side to start a consultancy, you could say, and I started to do myself. At first, this was not very good for me. I didn't have like regarded experience in technical side as well as in sales side, so it was pretty hard for me. But that's why when I met my co-founder Antanas, where we just worked together, I started like I could say like an intern in that company. I just worked for free for a couple of months, and he saw potential in me. I saw my potential, I started working, climbing, and doing what I do right now.
Cool. But from as bad as it is with the existing education system, is there anything that they're doing right? What do you think?
Well, some schools, I didn't like be in all of those potential schools, some of it I heard that they just banned ChatGPT, you cannot even say that word out loud in a school.
So ban, but
yes.
You cannot put back genie in the bottle. So
for sure, so it's like the worst scenario that you could do is do like that, Some of the schools are totally opposite. We are integrating ChatGPT. You could like use your phone or use that tool to answer really complex problems, because I think it's if you're preparing students for their like adult life, you know, nobody would ever limit you like using AI, you know, and if you limit like that skill right now, so they won't have that skill. They go to like first day of the work, everyone is using ChatGPT, but we don't do that. We don't have that skill. So how we are like appearing to their peers, you know, so very bad in that.
Okay, that is right, but well, how do you argue against basically like some parallel situation, like so if you teach let's say a second grader the multiplication table, right, and if you give them calculator and the large language models or kind of language calculators, so so the second grader would not learn any concepts around it, or just know where is the multiplication button, and then when the exams come without calculator, right, they would fail. But then if the calculator is given to, let's say, 12th grader, it's an excellent tool, because then you focus on physics, right, like on higher level concepts, and you don't need to do the calculation with 5-digit numbers, right? So the analogy here for the ChatGPT language models, all sorts of these advanced tools, right? Wouldn't you say that there need to be some kind of basis on which to build up with these, or you just give it straight out of nothing?
Yeah, for sure. Like your analogy is totally on point, you know, and totally agree. I'm not like a ministry. I'm not working in Ministry of Education. I'm not like I don't have any particular knowledge, and I feel it's just my experience from practice. So I totally agree that you first need to understand the fundamentals of around the thing, and it's like I think for schools to decide, you know, when we should introduce that. But my opinion is that for sure we need to introduce. The question is when, you know, on what fields, on what practices, you know, how the rules of a game should be played, you know, in that sense. So yeah, for sure. Also, we don't need to think that only like. We just allow people to choose like ChatGPT or AI tools in general, and everything will be fine. We need to start also thinking how to use these tools in practice, how to do that properly. We need to introduce to hallucinations, you know, to understand the common pitfalls of these tools, you know, because we are not like we are far from perfect, you know,
Sure,
right now.
like at least in Gemini they removed the web button, but it's still in the, as you know, in ChatGPT. I think often people get confused, right? Working in RAG mode with web sources, without web sources, generating stuff. All of these small differences, right? It makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So that's why we like existed, you know. Even though we are tools, even though you could like learn it or like study it yourself, still you need so much guidance, you know, and understanding, you know, that field. And we need to understand that like people in working in sales and operations in HR, we have so many tasks right now, and like to learn AI, to learn new tools, like a additional chore for them that we might do after hours, but might not, you know, and it's still like lagging behind them. We are understanding that it's like it's really a thing, you know, AI could really help, but you just don't have time, you know, because we have so many tasks, you know, to do in their life. And yeah, you need guidance, you know, you need your time to like practice it and understand how it works, and only then you can really apply that.
Do you have any kind of funny misunderstandings or myths or something, surprises that you got when you were teaching these things to students, teachers? Something comes to mind?
Yeah, so like it's a lot, because all these questions after 2 years like are pretty much the same. I had always
what are the typical questions?
Yes, like one of the most like frequent problem I would say is like people are mixing Google and ChatGPT. And for example, we asked like especially like 1 year or 2 years before, when ChatGPT was pretty like.
And they use even free version.
Yes, free version without no internet connection. Maybe even when it was no internet connection at all, you know, we didn't have it. So for example, we ask ChatGPT. One person asked ChatGPT, "What's the weather today in like Vilnius or Kaunas?" ChatGPT says like it's 35 degrees Celsius, you know, and it's winter, for example. and when people say, "Oh, well, ChatGPT is like not a great tool, you know, it's low quality, you know, I won't use it. It's like a scam, you know." And we just don't understand like the underlying patterns, you know, how this tool works, and we just say, "Oh, this tool is not for me." So like such and similar stories are like very frequent. Some of more like funny ones is like one like we talked a bit before even just person like communicating with like there's international office. One person is in Germany, another is like local in Lithuania, where like people are communicating in German, I believe, yeah, and one person is doing that very bad, you know, another is like a native speaker,
Yeah.
and like 1 week, like suddenly he starts speaking like
Oh.
Shakespeare, or you know, in the German, like Goethe, yeah, in a sense. And like one question is asking me why it's like different, you know, what's changed, you know, but yeah, ChatGPT came, that's why. So I think, yeah,
But
well,
it's even not just these simple cases. It's also I saw this. Maybe you also saw this chart of PubMed medical journals with the word with these word delve and other words, right? Have you seen these?
Oh yeah, we have like one meme, you know, in our training as well. Well, it's not related to develop, but as a large language model and you know, it's one of the most frequent answers, especially in the early days of ChatGPT. And he just said, I don't know my answer, you know. So if we just write and type that word as a large language model inside like Google Scholar or any other topic, you will get like a lot of already published, qualified papers from medicine, from business, from marketing, and whatever, you know.
What does it tell about peer review?
Yes, about peer review, about the quality of academia, and yeah, like it's a funny story, and we show this data not only for students, but like for our students, adults, but also for like pupils, because everyone is like saying that only like small people, so students are like doing
there's educator ones,
yes,
right?
yes, education as well. And yeah, so.
But to those of you sort of listeners who didn't know that, there was and I believe you can still replicate it with other words, but there were some patterns that you can recognize in generated content even without the white labeling and whatever. Like I mean the watermarking is that there was this word delve which appeared significantly, like 10 times 20 times more in the medical published papers in PubMed database just after the ChatGPT release, and it started accumulating every year since then. And then they discovered that this word, like delve into topic, right, it is very familiar in like often used in Nigerian English. And then they discovered that OpenAI paid for local labelers in Nigeria. So there's a lot of influence of in Nigerian English, and then they connected the dots that most likely that's the cause, and then they found actually many other words that are similar.
So yeah, let's dive into this topic.
Dive into this topic, right? Yeah, this is right. But then let's then move to this your effort. It seems significant effort. Why AI, right? And you did these mini courses as well, micro learning and stuff for that, right? And you also say that you still believe that this AI age is human-centric, and the human is still being empowered by AI. And in the middle of that, why do you think that wouldn't it be a place very soon where many of the intellectual activities could be fully automated?
Yeah, so like it's totally dependable on the time horizon that you're thinking. You know, if you're thinking right now or in 5 years, I think it's still more human-centric and AI on the top. You know, of course, for certain industry, for certain tasks, AI already doing most of the job. You know, but doesn't mean. Yeah, but it doesn't mean, like, even though, translation, a good example, okay? You're Latvian, you know, you come to Lithuania, you translate the text into like Latvian. Are you 100% sure that everything is right now? And you could publish that content inside like your social media or whatever, you know? Even though like the technology is 99% perfect, from your experience with all the hallucinations, all the silly mistakes that they made, still people are not really like believing in the technology, and we still pay money for certain experts, you know, to check it and double check it, you know.
So the expert takes responsibility, basically.
Yeah, and you cannot put the responsibility on AI yet, and because
you need to take responsibility yourself then.
Yes. So even like with this manual task like translation, the situation is like this. And if we start thinking about sales, marketing, all the business operations we have, like that responsibilities become high and high and high. You know, people are like really not implementing this like enough. So like that's one of examples.
But you just previously told about NA10 and immediate response to the sales inquiry, right?
Yes.
Where is the human in the middle there?
Yeah, so of course it totally depends on the process. If you give like AI fully autonomous like actions, like many silly mistakes can also came along, But if you provide them with the best possible examples, if you give them like a choice between 3 or 5 different templates, in most cases it does the job correctly, And yeah, it's of course there might be some problems and they arise all the time, But it's like if you take that risk, and you get like many like big upsides from all these type of implementations, still using them.
You a couple of times mentioned these AI house nations, and of course in the early days when there was less understanding on how RAG works and all sorts of like guided outputs, structured outputs, it was more of a problem. But what is kind of your way how you avoid this, or how you help to people work to not be afraid of this?
Yeah, so like all of the business of why you could say was a way to teach people how to avoid hallucinations, So yeah, all the best prompt engineering practice that you might like already know, like role prompting examples, put very exact requirements for the task, give the output format, required output format, give the examples of how should like input and output should be, like these 5 or 6 techniques that you could provide the AI totally like level ups your like final output. Of course, for some of like data or niche task, it might not be enough, and that's why you need to provide that RAG functionality or just to give like existing sources, because from my own experience, the most hallucinations came when AI just doesn't have like required knowledge in that particular field.
Yep.
Maybe it will be like a very niche
Yes.
law in like Lithuania, Latvia, or whatever. Maybe it might be like a very certain business directory that it doesn't have access to. And people ask these questions, they believe in AI because it's already told true 10 times out of 10. But for that 11, it made mistakes. And because we don't know which sources these AI tools have, they may, yeah.
It is even more fundamental than that. Basically, I teach also in university the mathematics of these models. We taught these models even before ChatGPT, when the GPT-2 came out, when first transformers came out. So, and then transformers, which is the architecture of these models, they have a mathematical property that they like to copy what they see into the outputs. So basically that is built in the process. So that alone gives you the understanding, if you kind of get your head around it, that the inputs that you give are super important in a sense that it's not kind of generating new stuff as much as organizing it from what you give. And the other thing is maybe that's you probably realize that, but maybe also listeners might be interested in that, is if you add on like a little bit next step after NA10, right? Like if somebody starts to code all of this stuff, there is ability to actually, when you predict the tokens or the words or what comes out of the model, mask them. So basically you can make sure that the model will never ever answer anything rather than yes and no, for example, and this is mathematically not prompt engineering. So, and this is built in the major platforms, and that's why also nowadays I think it's much less hallucination if you implement it correctly, right?
Yeah. So a lot of sources like structure outputs,
Yeah.
if I may.
Yeah, but under the structure outputs, it is the idea that you kind of mask some things. And make sure that it's always in exactly the same format. It will never be something else. But there are all these techniques. I believe you can also do most of them in NA10, right?
Yeah, so I'm not only using this tool, but it's a good example, that was like trendy half year before, so that's why I like started to build all around.
What other cool tools you know which you like?
Yeah, so I started like besides like ChatGPT, using make.com, so it's like alternative no-code automation for like
which is better, NA10 or
yeah,
Make?
I like NA10 better because more advanced, and has a lot of good
Have you
capabilities.
tried Manus or on those?
Yes, Manus, like Cursor, Lovable,
Operator.
Yeah, Operator I didn't try, I didn't buy that plan.
I tried. It is not that great.
Yeah, even from the demos, it didn't look very nice, and still, you could do a lot of stuff, with old school APIs, you could say. but again,
You need to be a little bit technical.
Yes. So we are playing on that game for sure, because uh, like even when you mentioned these models, GPT, GPT-2, GPT-3, even before 2022 and 2021, 2020, you already had almost all of the functionalities that we got in late 2022 when ChatGPT 3.5 came. But because this technology was applicable only for a very small percentage of people who learn to code, who understand fundamentals of AI, only way we could use this technology. And all that ChatGPT revolution came only when we provided a nice user interface for a majority of people who doesn't want to learn to code. So it was, from my perspective, it was not so a technological revolution, but only the democratization of existing technology for vast.
There are so many layers of that, because originally it was attention is all you need, this paper of Google, which they, funny enough, put the red notice now on top of the published paper that this is not for commercial use, even after the whole world is already using it. But basically it was in the early days that it worked only when you showed many samples, and then it tried to go kind of in that mood and generate next tokens on that. And it still actually have some value of that if you give the samples, but then they democratize it by fine-tuning it with human preferences. That's also one fun way, because it's optimized to give responses that you like. And it's kind of difficult to make it oppose you.
Yeah, it's the same problem with social media right now, and you can just listen to the same people talking the things you like.
But that's actually an interesting angle. Like if you're talking about education and being is there some critic, right, who is not always saying you did right.
Yeah, so in ChatGPT, if you understand this, it's one of the patterns that you could think. If you understand that ChatGPT always likes to please you, you could just prompt oppositely, and always criticize me, always provide 3 arguments against me, and it's a very nice tool for you to learn sales, to learn argumentation, learn presenting your topics in academia, for example. It could work in many different fields.
Cool. But then you have all this broad experience with these companies and government institutions and education also. What kind of good examples have you seen in these years while doing this? So with Lithuanian companies or institutions where you see after adopting this that they automated things or had significant outputs?
Yeah. So for sure, for full disclosure, I think if you're really implementing AI, you don't connect with people who educate how to use AI. Yeah? So I might not talk with all the people in Lithuania, but because of that particular reason. Sure. But from those that I talked, and we talked with many startups in Lithuania that already are multinational businesses. We are still working with us, and we what we have more interesting, what others might teach is already using custom AI agents or software that lets them create with small AI agents, be it N8N, Make.com, Manus, or whatever. I think everyone in these bigger companies are one of the best examples that I saw that already creating the simple workflows. For example, you get an email. If you get an email, AI would respond to you a draft, for example, or it would just qualify the customer sentiment based on your reviews on your app store or whatever. We already seeing all these little agents or automations that help people to do more strategical level task. One example. Another example could be just using custom GPTs inside ChatGPT, prompting these tools, with your company data, with providing exact instructions for one particular task, and we can generate content, we can generate customer support emails, or whatever.
Yeah, but as soon as you start going into the territory, like let's say banks, public sector, right? You need to also be compliant.
Yeah, data security is a huge thing, and I think it really stops many companies, from going. Whenever we go to trainings, we are always one person who first raise hand. But what about data privacy? What about data security? So it's like a very common question, and like bigger combination, like more in that. You could say traditional business, we are all like really thinking about data security, and like one of the reasons why we create their own like custom chatbots that we host internally, and it's not.
Yeah, but I think it's important just to raise to attention that this is not something that cannot be overcome. Right? Even though the as you say NA10 or some of these platforms show the potential, as soon as you need to deploy it, let's say in some regulated environment, you can still do it. It's not like it's not possible. It is possible. It is just maybe a little bit more expensive, a little bit requires a little bit planning, resources, whatever, but it's still doable, right? You have seen any of this already? Some good projects?
Well, I wouldn't say that I saw like, I think like these tools like NA10 make.com is more into like small and medium sized businesses or like fast growing like startups, you could say, that we could
not care that much about
data privacy. Yes, for sure. But for these like corporate, really big corporate companies, I would say internal chatbot is still one of the things that they do. Or we just try to buy like these licenses. So for example, right now Microsoft Copilot is really trending on because we like giving, because most of the companies already, like I don't have exact percentage, but most of the companies from my own experience are still using like Microsoft Copilot environment, and we like most logical step for them is to just buy a license for like Microsoft Copilot on Pro, where it's already integrating with your own files. You could ask Copilot what the email I got last week, or what's the most that required file in SharePoint. So people are already using that. And in that sense,
It's definitely better than nothing. But I will just say personally, Gemini a couple of months released large updates. After those updates, I saw how well the Gemini RAG works compared to the Copilot, and then I had to move away from all of Microsoft.
Yeah. So for sure, like for personal experience, I think right now I was like proponent for OpenAI API for most of the time. When I closed went to Cloud API, and right now I moved all of this to Gemini as well, because it's like the most cost efficient, largest context window. You could upload file like I think like 1% of people I think in the space understands like right now you can upload files via API, upload your video content, audio content, and only Gemini allows that. And we already like doing a lot of interesting custom automation with just this feature, because until now it wasn't you couldn't do that before, in this like node code.
Yeah, they might, but this is like you have seen these charts like the OpenAI dominating the other market like 10 times the other competitors. And now Google is finally, after so long time, catching up. Actually, I think, like as you say, price-wise and quality is much better.
Yeah, I think it's like it's of course it's like a branding, marketing, trending, all of that stuff. But like comparing just product-wise, I don't think like why you would use like OpenAI right now, if you just compare like the quality, and especially about development, side.
There still are some. So I still subscribe to many platforms because of course, maybe as you need to be up to date. But the other thing is I can compare that still these Python generation features that they are built into data processing in OpenAI. So if you subscribe to OpenAI and if you choose either it's a 4.0, 4.1, 4.5. I know it's super confusing with these numbers, but some of these models are excellent with spreadsheets. So if you just put the spreadsheet in with data, it will process it perfectly. All sorts of super crazy things like factor analysis, any kind of analytics you want, they will do it perfectly. So, but it's not available in Gemini.
Yeah. So for sure, like to be clear, I think more thinking about like these automations are like development side or projects that we did before, For user experience, still ChatGPT is way more like user-friendly.
No, I would disagree a little bit. As we just said, like if they would want to
Models.
be the model names, did you know that in ChatGPT you have two places where you can switch on internet search? In the top right corner there is customize web, and then there's on the bottom there is also choose web search, right? If you didn't turn off both, then they still do the web search, so it's kind of really confusing.
Yeah, in that sense I agree, but looking at all the software that was developed after ChatGPT is pretty much try to mimic still like
the golden standard.
Yeah, golden standard, you could say, like in all the fields, the chat mode in general, it all appears like ChatGPT. So for sure, there's like certain like intricacies where
So we actually can go deeper into this topic, and this brings us to AI clicks as well, and the rise of this AI search optimization. It also even ties together with how you use internet, because, well, you've heard that they recently integrated with I think it was a Shopify with some of these like marketplace platforms where you could potentially buy things directly out of ChatGPT interface, right? Even don't go to the web store at all. And this goes to basically, I actually have some nice chart of maybe the listeners didn't know there is this thing Stack Overflow, right? Yeah. This was the go-to place for all developers to learn how to solve problems. And as soon as ChatGPT came out, it's like 60% drop in traffic, and this is not the only place. There's many similar situations where people are not anymore going to the website to consume content. They consume content directly to this chat interface. This brings us also to another problem, is that typically when you do the search in Google, you will have, let's say, some Google AdWords, some kind of search optimization, right? And in this age, it is completely different, right? What is actually how you would define it, and how you would basically how your approach helps with this AI search optimization?
Yeah, so like for sure it's a huge problem, because people like psychology might change, because we want to like consume content in general. We want to get like personalized answers, in Google, in like Bing, whatever you're using. You just put a keyword, you get like 3 ads, 5 links. You press each of the links, you double check the content, and only then you make a decision, and it's way more easier, it's way more comfortable just to go to ChatGPT, ask the question in your own human language with mistakes, with your intricacies that you might have, with all the personalized data that already ChatGPT has, and get the answer. It's a totally different user experience, and that's why most of the people are using it. Not to mention like data analysis, like part where ChatGPT just analyze like 5, 10, 15, 20 different sources and just provide you with a summary. So it's totally like a field is like changing a lot in the common months, and that's why I built AI Clicks. So for context, it's like a tool that helps you to optimize your content. And how do you do that? At first you just need to understand how are people searching information in your niche, and what prompts they are giving to ChatGPT, to Perplexity, or whatever. So based on your website content, based on all the fields, like all the keywords in your website, we generate like top 20 to 15 prompts that you need to check and understand like how you're comparing between like you and your competitors in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini. And we basically run this analysis on a weekly basis. And like, for example, you run like an e-commerce shop. One of the prompts might be e-commerce shop for dogs, for example, like where to get dog food, and you as a dog food business, of course you want to appear in such response where a person in Latvia, in Vilnius, would ask such question. So we basically just double check this particular prompt, where you buy dog food, between 3 different engines, and after that we provide the analysis, like, are you mentioned? Is your competitor mentioned? What we are talking about? Like, what's the sentiment of that particular field?
So you studied a little bit how this works. I read that ChatGPT feeds because of the Microsoft collaboration from Bing, right? Is it correct?
Yes. So mostly ChatGPT provides answer based on Bing. So of course you want to optimize, like a tip for audience. If you want to optimize for ChatGPT, make sure that you're optimized for Bing. Go to Bing Webmaster Tools, apply your website. Bing keywords is a bit different. It works pretty much a bit different from Google, so we are really like exact match keywords. So if you want to like rank well on Bing, you should like put exact match keywords on your site, to rank on Bing, and later on you will rank on ChatGPT. In comparison, Perplexity, another like big search engine.
How they work?
Yeah, we work on daily, like real time, and we based on Google, so we are a bit different, so.
So in my company, my CTO, Paul, he's also a very smart guy. He always compared the Perplexity and Google. So he had a hinge that basically usually it's the same sources. So probably the feed of Google, right?
Yes, for sure. So of course you can like.
How do you bridge then? So basically, as you say, prompt, right? And then on the other end you have Google, and Google is influenced still by the classical search optimization, and maybe AdWords even, no?
Yeah, so there's certain differences. I would say like 50-60% overlap. Like if you optimize like for SEO, you optimize for ChatGPT. I think like 50-60% is also not based on my own data. You could read a research paper by Zero Interactive. We also like published a good case study. I think we will leave this in comments for users. So yeah, like a lot of overlaps, but still, like for example, Perplexity answers. What we like more, not between outside Google, is user-generated content. So Perplexity, ChatGPT already signed huge deals with Reddit, 70 million or something like that deal with Reddit between Reddit and OpenAI. That Reddit would be allowed to, OpenAI would be allowed to train on Reddit data and cite the data, etc., etc. So for example, how Perplexity works, usually it also adds sources from YouTube, from Reddit, citing the people question and answer. Why we are doing that? Because we want like unfiltered information, that is not related to any ads or like professional or real,
so there
real
are
sources.
Some sources which are more valuable than others, right?
Yeah, so Reddit is one of the most for sure, and of course the way you create content, the way you optimize content is also a bit more different. For example, like ChatGPT Perplexity likes really exact, direct answers to the user question. So for example, if you like searching for that particular dog food, where to find the best dog food, inside your website, inside your content, you should directly answer to this particular question as fast as possible. In your blog, inside your headings, inside your like website content, you should be very direct. That attention span that we talked about is not common not only for humans but for AI as well. We need to get these answers fast.
How can you measure any? So okay, you can measure if the sales comes over or some leads comes in, right? But is there any way you can measure that you're succeeding with this if the content is consumed in the other platform which do not have yet some clear?
Yes, so for sure you can. You already right now without any additional investment, you could go to your Google Analytics, and just add a referral traffic, assign a referral traffic, and we already like saw so many companies that are getting sales from ChatGPT, from Perplexity, and you could see that data not from iTool, not from anyone, from Google Analytics, So you could do that for free, and even. Upon that, we are also building like a software inside the AI Clicks where you could have this information in real time. So whenever person is referred to your website, you could see that in your own dashboard. So there are ways, to do that with like a custom snippet code, that you could insert. So yeah.
Okay, and I think you briefly mentioned that AI Clicks is not only about some analytics. There's also some generative component. How that works?
Yeah, so we provided with all the analytics. We try like say what your competitors, what are the top use prompts, and all the cited domains. So we get like a bunch of analytics for you to understand like the horizon around the topic, and based on that, we have like this agentic features, as we call them. Where you could create content, optimized both for Google and ChatGPT and Perplexity. So like my website and myself is like a good example of that, where I like rank really well on certain topics, on certain keywords, only using my own tool by answering direct by answering direct answers to the questions my potential customers might have. So for example, how to appear in ChatGPT. Like many clients already got into my tool because they like saw this in ChatGPT.
But you definitely know also, if you're in this space, that earlier this year there were this controversy where Google PageRanks dropped significantly for many websites because of generated content. So they have some kind of, either it's some kind of, I don't know, watermarking deals, whatever, how they operate. Like what's your experience on Google PageRank downranking the generated content?
Yeah, it's for sure one of the top questions, and all of these changes like constantly and daily. I wouldn't agree with this, and I don't think it's like a case anymore, and I don't think even if it was before, because what Google like downgrades is a bad content, and bad content, you could write bad content with human, with AI, it doesn't matter, and so if you write really well content,
so many website owners reporting that they even admitted we added so half a year generated content, right? PageRanks grew, everything is great, and then suddenly, I think it's February, March or something, it was huge drop of the PageRank.
Yeah, so for sure, like Google algorithms in general, we change very often. Even before AI, you could have heard a lot of these case studies, where my PageRank dropped 50% because Google changed one number in their algorithm. It's the case with all algorithms for LinkedIn, for Facebook, YouTube. So it's the same case. But regarding the content, if you really prompt well ChatGPT, if you really provide research, you provide direct answers to the user question, to the user intent in Google, you can rank really well. And I have a lot of examples right now, where AI generated content ranks #1 and even more.
That's good to know that
yes,
this is the
and
truth.
for sure, if you want to read more, Ahrefs, today or yesterday, one of the biggest SEO SaaS companies already gave us a research where we say it doesn't matter if you write ChatGPT or AI. So there are a lot of conflicting case studies, I would say, but I would be for sure in the side where you could really generate content with AI and get good results.
Of course, it probably also you don't generate it as a dummy. You put it, you put the data in, you put the context in, so it's
we put the research in. So basically, when we write content on a Clax mechanism, we are 5-6 agents that doing research, that generating an outline, generating the plan of the article, generating introduction, main points, conclusion. All these little AI steps that you add. So. And you can compare with just basic ChatGPT prompt, write me a blog about dog food. Totally different results, and that's why.
Don't do that.
That's why you would get downgraded on Google. So that's for sure. And one of also the interesting topic that is also related to academia, to the thing we are talking about AI content, is how do you find that content is generated by AI? Right now, all these tools that's provides you with probability that this text was generated by AI. So we are totally
like the COVID guidelines, the Declaration of Independence, all of these generated.
I think it's the same case. Lithuanian independence, constitution, it's 90% AI generated. So how could you know?
But there are ways. You definitely are aware of significant efforts from all of the large language model providers to do the watermarks, right? And of course, I think if we come along to the point where watermarks becomes a problem, there will be a lot of watermark removers. But still, for a little fee. So, but still, this people should be aware of that. It is possible to somehow technologically try to combat it, but at the still time it's very difficult. It's dynamic.
It's a cat and mouse game, in all the fields that are heavily regulated, where people who want to unregulate stuff. It's one thing is about text, totally different about videos, images. There's a huge problem as well, where you can. Right now, you can generate talking head faces, videos that are 99% or even 100%.
Did you see the new 11 Labs version 3 voice in Lithuanian as well?
They got a huge
emotions and everything.
Google Notebook LM, have you also tried that?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
also have like that generate podcast feature.
yeah,
It's also very nice and free, so
yeah,
users could also try that.
yeah. It's for now free, but it's really good. But yeah, so yeah, that's definitely something that people should be aware of. At the same time, when you come to the, let's say, real-time applications, when you come to enterprise level applications with all these data security layers, again, even if you think that you cannot use this, there are still ways to use. Basically, so as you know, maybe I didn't talk much of us, but we deploy these contact center solutions with all these telcos, financial institutions, private medical, and often they need to be on premises or on very secured environments, and still maybe it will not be as good as like $100 million startups with these quality, but it is reasonable enough quality for many things to automate, and it should not be a reason why not to do things.
Yeah, for sure. It's better to start now than 5 years when everyone.
So we talked about these sources like Reddit, some which is highly favored in these engines, but there's Wikipedia, there is probably some social media, maybe YouTube, right?
Yeah, YouTube, LinkedIn for sure.
Right, and then imagine if you have some agent that tries to do kind of high quality content, but maybe oversees it too much in these platforms. Is it something also could be a problem? What do you see from your experience?
Like right now, and me and myself, my clients as well, we are doing more about the quantity game, I would say, because we're still very early. You know, this algorithm is not like as complicated as Google right now. Of course, it might be changed like totally in 2 years or 1 year or half year. You know, we don't know. But right now, it's more about quantity games. So like ChatGPT Perplexity, like really loves mentions. So if you can like provide as much mention as possible inside the internet, and right now even like the domain rating or like the professionalism of the website that you put in your content is not so of importance, you know, in comparison to Google for VSA engine. So for what does it mean? It means that if you like put your mentions a lot in Reddit, in Wikipedia, in YouTube, you put the content, you say that you're the best of the best in that particular niche, AI could pick that information, and you could say this is like a black hat SEO, you know, practices where you just play against the rules, you know, for this particular moment of time, because no one is regulating that stuff. You know, it's because you're still very early.
Yeah,
It might
themselves.
change after, you know, it might change after half a year or something like that. But now you can really outrank your competitors by just doing volume game in that
Okay,
sense.
good, but at the same time, it's not that easy because, let's say, Wikipedia, you have moderators there, right?
Yeah, so Wikipedia is, I think, one of the hardest thing that you could appear. You know, in most cases, you also need to like pay for some sort of agency that could help you to arrange that article and like edit it.
What's about that? I never heard of this. So, like to publish something on Wikipedia so that moderators won't delete you, you have to pay somebody.
Like there's like you could say Wikipedia agencies that help you to arrange content on
So
websites.
basically, they are themselves moderators often, right? And so they can insert
We have connections
stuff.
for sure. We have connections for sure.
I can imagine how that works.
Yeah, yes. So yeah, another example is just Reddit. You know, so I really also like that tool. I use it for my personal experience. I also use that for business to promote my tool. You know, so I just spent like, I don't know, 10-15 minutes with my tool AI Clicks, where we just generate some content recommendations. We track the signals of a particular niche that you're in. So for example, somebody would like comment a keyword that you're interested in, and you could like in 1 minute or 2 minutes just reply to that message with your like insightful comment or just plug of your tool.
Is it also feeding from comments or just the post itself?
Yeah, post or comments, both works. You know, we just track keywords. So yeah, like this and small features like helps our customers to like get more mentions inside the tools. We already like seeing upward trend, you know, inside.
So you mentioned you have these successful stories. Maybe you can share some of where you managed to bring in some traffic using these methods.
Yeah, so for sure, like we are targeting mainly like agencies or small businesses who, in most cases, outsource their content creation to like freelancers or more bigger agencies, and we just, in practice, from my own experience, where we just also like hired a SEO agency, we write you a post with ChatGPT and we publish it like 50 times the price, So in comparison, you could just use AI clicks, generate one blog post for €1, by divided by monthly fee, and you get the same quality content and maybe even more in 5 minutes. You don't need to pay like €200 for one article or for 1,000 monthly subscription for a particular SEO agency.
Exactly,
so
like some example, like what kind of business would you already working with? For example, in what vertical, what kind of product?
Yeah, so my tool itself is a case study, so I myself create all the content with my tool, and we already like ranking on Perplexity. Like for example, you could check the prompt, the question how to appear in ChatGPT. So we are on top 5, results, like with a very completely new website, 2 months old, and we're already ranking well.
Oh, 2 months, right?
Yes. So we are really new into a game. Like companies, so more like. One of the earliest adopters of our tool was also working in finance, and we help people to like discuss. We help people with VAT regulation, and we consult on that. So yeah, we work and create articles on finance. Another also client is related to finance education, so we also like providing like these educational.
And what was the difference before they started working with you and after? Like, was like their I don't know, like inbound ratio or rate or how you measure the effect?
Yeah, so for example, like right now we are pretty much early, as I mentioned, like 1 or 2 months old as a startup, So SEO is a bit more like longer game. So like to be like completely transparent, it's like you need to check your results like in 3, 6, months to see like fully responses. I haven't like talked right now. I will just do like wrap up meetings like this week, But from myself, I saw like really like. I would say like 20-30% raise from the traffic that we got, like using the content, and already a couple of cells, based only of ChatGPT or Perplexity recommendations.
Sure, and like what you're saying, that's the way things are progressing. Need to be aware of that, and yeah. So the AI clicks.
Yeah, like one interesting thing I also forgot to mention, why ChatGPT or Perplexity is a bit more different, in comparison to Google, is that people are way more trust ChatGPT responses, and there's also many data points or many studies made on the topic where you say like if ChatGPT recommended your business, there's like way higher percentage of closed deal, because people trust these tools more, than just Google, where you could optimize for keyword, pay ads, or whatever,
Do you think maybe they do this intentionally, that they don't yet introduce way to pay to uprank?
Yeah, I think it's like...
they don't want to lose the trust in their system.
I would say, as we started, we started as non-NGO, yeah, we didn't want like any money. And we kind of lean into a different direction, but maybe that like initial ideology, you could say, to be like open source or more trustworthy, or a better alternative to these like corporate businesses that only want to sell your stuff. Maybe it's still there, and we want to release this feature. It's like very interesting stuff. I am not sure, if we will.
What motivates yourself? Coding, making the agents, prompting, doing the stuff.
Motivates in what sense?
Yeah, like I don't know, like you go to the run, you drink coffee. What motivates you?
Oh, yeah. Like it's the sheer joy of making the stuff that's working, not breaking, and really like optimizing some sort of workflow, just from simple email to like booked CRM like line. It's like seeing the result, and that you created the process, the system that works outside your like manual work. It's like that fulfillment, the feel of fulfillment really motivates me.
Which fictional or real person best captures your method of 99% practice and 1% theory?
Well, it's a tricky question. I would say like Walter White from better. Like,
What unplugged out away from keyboard habit is still that is important to you?
like to do sports every day, or like at least have a walk, but preferably like do biking, running, I don't know, swimming, playing paddle or tennis. That's what I do.
Okay.
Sport, yeah.
Snack of your choice for late night work.
Like no snacks after 8 p.m.
Favorite AI tool right now?
Anytime.
Anything? Or
Yes.
what's the most underrated AI tool hiding in the plain sight?
Well, for most like regular folks, I would say Notebook LM. It's like a tool where you could insert your files. Of course, if you are not private, you know, I think in my experience, it does better job than even ChatGPT or even paid ChatGPT version in like reading PDFs, long documents, you know, and most of the people are just reading like long reports or
Did you saw that it also makes the mind maps?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
excellent, fantastic way.
Yeah, so you just can sort all the top of documents, you know, and not many people, especially in offices, you know, now back are using it.
It's excellent, right? Especially not free. So, do you ever vibe code, and what tools you use?
Yeah, so like AI clicks in its own like first MVP versions, all the front end even right now, it's partly created with AI. I'm not only right now. I'm not coding, and I have like a developers that do that. But the first version of the tool was like completely wipe code with Cursor and Lovable tools. So I really recommend those. Like Lovable is one of the like most growing startups in the history, you know, and Cursor is also doing really well. And I really like Cursor for that manual. Like you could do way more, you know, and more precise stuff, you know, with that. But Lovable is just good for MVPs if you want to spend like 5 prompts and get like existing working prototype. If that works really well.
For fastest time you have gone from idea to working prototype.
Yes.
What has been how fast have you ever done this?
Like yeah, like I like right now, even right now, that tool that like we also allow to test with our tool for free. It's like like you could see a free version of a main tool. So I wipe coded that in 1 hour, like from idea. Well, not 1 hour, but like one day, like 3-4 hours of work from idea to publishing to my website. You know, and the next day already got like clicks and users that actually are using it. So and I did that with Lovable, like.
Cool. So weirdest prompt that you ever tried that actually worked. Like you didn't think it worked, but it worked.
So negative prompting, you know, when I just started using like ChatGPT, I also like bought some courses, and one of the interesting tips that I saw right like here it was like emotional or black hat prompting that they called, and basically it was said that I will get my hand cut if you would provide me with the worst response possible. You know, well, sorry, not worst response, but just a bad response or not clear response. You know, and it really like works. And even now, when I'm creating these custom GPTs or agents, sometimes also insert this type of line that if you get like bad response, wrong answers, I will get my count off. Yeah.
They need to check that out statistically. We did actually recently some good scientific publications. Need to do more on that one. It's funny. Some funny or weird hallucinations you have ever seen?
One example is not very funny, but right now I'm in like that space of AI SEO sometimes, and it's such a new field that basically you don't have a name like right now. Some call it generative engine optimization, GEO. Some call it like answer engine optimization. Some call it large language model optimization. All those different acronyms, and not many like consensus on what we should do. So for example, when you just right now use a term GEO, generative engine optimization, sometimes still ChatGPT doesn't know what you mean about, and it just provides you answer related to geology or geography, you know. So that's one, and it's working right now, you know.
Yeah, so if somebody looks for geology stuff, they might end up with AI clicks. So do you have any AI misconception myth that you have heard which seems to be funny to you? which often people think.
Like, yeah, that with like AI generated content is one for sure, but we already talked about it. Another, like, I wouldn't say it's like a myth, but a slogan, you could say that not the AI will change you, but people that are using AI will change you. Just funny for me, you know.
Okay, but
it has you know reasoning, you know. It's just so much of it. Like we hear that a lot of times, so it became funny or a meme for me.
Okay. Is there any buzzword in AI that you don't like, that you want to go on forever?
I wouldn't say that it's gone, you know, but I think the distinction between AI automation and agent is pretty low, you know, and all people that just put like 2 nodes on anything or make, they're already calling it AI agent that will change, revolutionize like finance or healthcare. And just if it's just a single OpenAI call to get the data or do the RAG, I think you shouldn't call it an AI agent, you know, from the research that I was reading from my own experience, agent is that a system that can really act autonomously, not on your provided instructions, but you like make those actions, you know, based on like more narrow instructions, you know, that you give, but it still has like that a level autonomous.
I also agree that the key like buzzword agent is starting to make a little bit of problems, unfortunately, even though it's in future possible. Right now it is tricky.
It's tricky. Yeah.
Okay, so is there any unspoken rule for prompt engineering that everybody should know?
Like it depends on on the level of knowledge that you have, but for sure, like for all the beginners in the audience or just starting to implement this tool, I would really recommend you always provide a good example of output that you are looking for, because so many people are just inserting that task and they think that, oh, AI will know what they want or what they mean, you know, by that particular question. But you know, there are a lot of different companies, a lot of different niches, industries, and AI doesn't know about your particular situation, and you always should like provide as clear and as good example as possible when you are asking for the final output.
What everyday chore or thing that you need to do every day you secretly wish to be automated by AI?
I don't do a lot of besides working.
Right.
Yeah. But if you would have like a food making agent that would make your home food that is clean and healthy, I would totally buy it.
Which everyday household object would you love to embed language model into? Remember, they said every toaster will have.
Yeah, it's a strange question. I haven't figured about it. It's good. And it's also a good question in the sense that it's asking me to think. Yeah, maybe something.
Fridge, it will say.
Yeah, fridge.
Like, don't eat this.
Fridge or your oven, you know that.
You could actually imagine like a futuristic fridge that there's some person with like weight problems or something, and they like say, "Do you really want to eat this?"
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, is there any Lithuanian phrase that ChatGPT still don't understand or write wrong often?
I don't know right now, you know, if it's the case, but we have like one long word. I think it's the longest word, pasikeškio kopusteliaudamas. So I don't even know
what it means.
Yeah, it's strange. It's difficult thing to say, but basically, kiškis, pasikeškio, it means like a rabbit, and like pasi is like going. So going rabbit-like wise or something like that. It's Lithuanians in the audience would say I said bullshit right now, but something like that. So when we tested this word with ChatGPT, it doesn't.
If you cannot even properly translate it, so ChatGPT also has a problem with it. Yeah. But great. So it was super interesting to talk with you. Where people can find you?
Yeah, so I'm most active on my LinkedIn, Rokas Stankevic. Also, I do YouTube as well, so you could also check that link. And of course, if you liked what I talked, you could also try the tool aiClicks.io. It's also you could like have a free trial, you know, if you try this tool right now.
aiClicks.io. Okay, excellent. So thanks.
Thank you very much. It was nice to talk to you.
So thanks for listening to the podcast. As gratitude for our work, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, and share. Bye.